Good morning. In this week's Parsha of Masei, the Torah spends a great deal of time listing all of the places and encampments of the Jewish people, all of their journeys. There are 42 different places. The Torah spells each and every one of them out, recapping the entire journey. And this takes a good 50 psukim to take us all the way through. So 50 verses out of the Torah, that's a lot of verses. In fact, that is more verses than is used to describe the creation of heaven and earth. So why is the Torah telling us this generally? If you've been following the story up till now, you'll know that the Jewish people were in the desert, that there were certain locations where they were, that they traveled from place to place. So what is added? What great godly wisdom are we picking up from this section of the Torah? And I would like to share 5 answers with you. On average, it'll be about a minute and a half per answer. The first one is that suggested by Rabbi Moshe Hadarshan, whom Rashi quotes, as saying that what we see through this list is the incredible kindness of Hashem. You see, when we were decreed that this generation would die in the desert, that generation that came out of Egypt would die in the desert, there were 3 parts to the decree. Part number 1, that generation that came out of Egypt would not enter the land of Israel. Part number 2, they would die in the desert. Part number 3, they would be ro'im bamidbar, are the words that Hashem used. They would be wandering, grazing, unsettled. They'd be wandering from place to place in the desert. As far as not getting into Israel, there's nothing to talk about. Can't go into Israel. As far as dying in the desert, again, they're going to die in the desert. But we won't go into it now. But Hashem showed compassion to them even within that. But this third factor, that they will be wandering from place to place within the desert, for that, Rabbi Moshe Darshan says, you would think that every couple of weeks they'd be in a different place. Every couple of days they'd be traveling. That they'd have this tremendously unsettled, unanchored kind of life. And that, he says, is what the Torah is telling us over here, is that it's not so. Even though they were traveling over the course of those 40 years, and there are, in fact, as we said, 42 different journeys. Rashi does some of the maths for us, and he says that 20 of those journeys actually happened outside of the decree, either on their way to Israel before the decree was made, on their way to the new route in Israel, towards the end of those 40 years. It was really 22 journeys during the 38 years of exile in the desert. And that's not too bad. That's one journey every 2 years on average. So if somebody is moving house every 2 years, you cannot say that they are truly settled. At the same time, you would not say that they are a nomad or a refugee. And that, says Rabbi Moshe Darshan, is the idea here, that Hashem fulfilled his decree of justice. And yet within that, there was a tremendous amount of compassion and kindness. And that, says Rabbi Moshe Chaim Lutzato, the Mesilat Yesharim, the author of the Path of the Just, he says this is where you see the intersection of din and rachamim, of Hashem's compassion with Hashem's justice. Justice dictates that the decree must be fulfilled, but compassion dictates that it can be fulfilled in a compassionate way. So he says, for example, if somebody does something wrong, there are consequences to that, and there is no hiding from the consequences. However, there are 3 factors which mitigate where Hashem's compassion intersects with the law. The first is, he says, that justice is not immediate. You could say, well, you know what, he did it, he'll get me right away. There'll be a stay of sentence. That the law is still fulfilled, but that's compassionate of Hashem to give you that. The second one is that a person is able to make up for what they've done wrong. That's the idea of teshuvah. According to it, we'd only look at it from the perspective of justice. He's done it, there are consequences. Right? You can't come to the police station with your speeding fine and say, I know that I was speeding, and I put myself and other people's lives on risk, etc., but I'm properly sorry about it, and I'm not going to do it again. Can you get me off the ticket? No, it doesn't work like that. But in compassion, there are consequences to it, but you pay through it through your teshuvah. And the third factor, he says, is that even though the sentence must be fulfilled, it can be done in a way that is somewhat mitigated, that the decree is still fulfilled, but the compassion is evident. And that's what we're seeing over here. Yes, they had to be in the desert, wandering, ro'im bamidbar, from place to place. However, that was done in a way that they actually were able to be anchored and settled and achieve something during those years. That's the first explanation of Rabbi Moshe HaDarshan. The second explanation is that of the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, in the Guide to the Perplexed, which the Ramban quotes, is saying that we have such incredible miracles happening in the desert, with Hashem providing for us in this absolute wilderness, water and food. It's just unbelievable. And the Rambam says the time will come when people will say, I'm sure they were really by inhabited areas all that time. It says that it was manna, probably they just traded with the locals. And therefore the Rambam says we spell out the route exactly so that people will know, no, they were not traveling through civilization, they were traveling through a desert, and still Hashem in His kindness helped us out at every step. The third opinion that I saw is that of the Toldot Yitzchak. He gives a fascinating explanation. He says, why every one of these places mentioned? Out of gratitude. That Hashem wants us to know He is grateful to these locations for providing a home for the Jewish people. And one day, the Toldot Yitzchak says, they will be rewarded, the places will be rewarded for their kindness to the Jewish people in holding us. And that's what we read about in the book of Yeshayahu and the book of Isaiah, that one day the desert will become fruitful and blossom and sprout. Where in the desert? Those places in the desert that gave rest and respite to the Jewish people. Opinion number 4 is the Sephorno, who says that this is to teach us the merit of the Jewish people, to teach us the greatness of what this generation was willing to do. That every time they had camped somewhere, they had settled, Hashem says, now I want you to go to somewhere in the middle of nowhere that you've never been to before, that there are no natural resources, and just take your children and your families and just go. Now we know that this is what the Jewish people did when they first left Egypt, and that's what the prophet Yirmiyahu speaks about. I remember, I love at the beginning that honeymoon experience of coming out with me into the desert, knowing that there was nothing but that I would take care of you. But what we see this Fano is saying is that it wasn't just a honeymoon experience for that stage in the desert and then they were never able to replicate that. It wasn't that they ever became disillusioned and said, you know what, Hashem, we actually don't want to go to the next place. No, they always trusted Hashem. Whatever else was going wrong, and it's easy to focus on the things that go wrong because the Torah spells that out also. But whatever else was going on, they had this trust in Hashem and this beautiful relationship that when Hashem said, we're going somewhere else, they said, Hashem, we're with you. We're going somewhere else. We know that you're going to take care of us. And the fifth explanation is, Rashi also quotes the Midrash Tanchuma, which says something very, very interesting. It says, it's like a father takes his sick son on a long journey to be healed. And they get there and he has the treatment and he recovers. And when they come back, the father reminisces with his son about their journey. Do you remember here's where we stayed? Do you remember this is where you had the headache? Do you remember what happened at this place? And it's such an interesting analogy because when we speak about reminiscing, we are so used to doing it in the context of a honeymoon, a family holiday, a beautiful experience. What Rashi is saying from this Midrash Tanchuma is that the reminiscing is something that comes with a deep and loving relationship through good times and hard times. It's our shared story. This is our story with Hashem. Our journey with Hashem through the desert. Do you remember it? Do you remember when we were first building our relationship with Hashem? Do you remember what went right? Do you remember what went wrong? It's actually such a beautiful way of looking at it. That we have this shared journey together, this shared history of our path through the desert. So again, these 5 explanations, which I think are all wonderful and really tell us why it's so important to spell out every single one of these places. Either it's because we see the kindness of Hashem that, yes, there were 42 places, but that's not so many. Hashem really didn't throw us around all the time. The second one of the Rambam, to show us that it was really in the middle of nowhere. Every place was in the middle of nowhere. And Hashem was helping us out. They told that Yitzchak that every one of these places will be rewarded for what it did in holding the Jewish people and will one day be an oasis and a paradise. Number 4, that you have the merit of the Jewish people. The Sforim are telling us that they were able to trust in Hashem and go from place to place every time into the unknown. It wasn't something that wore off. And finally, number 5, the Midrash Tanchuma, our shared story, our shared relationship, our shared journey that we can always look back on is the story of us and Hashem. Have a wonderful Shabbos.